Hello, hello, and welcome back to my channel. I am Christy VANN with VANNtastic Finances, and on this channel, I teach velocity banking, but I give you guys so many other options. We have to have options not only for debt elimination, but building wealth. And that is what the channel is about. So we're going to give some of you guys a little bit of time here just to sign on to get excited about what we're going to be talking about today, which is everything debt. Oh my goodness, it is a crazy, crazy debt crisis we have going on out there. And I am bringing in Craig Yenny to talk with me today. He is going to be talking about what some of you guys ask me a lot about, which is the infinite banking and the new Debt Blaster software. So he is here to answer those questions. Hello, hello, Craig, and welcome to the channel.
Thanks, Christy, for the introduction. Glad to be here and looking forward to engaging with the community to answer any of those debt questions. And like you say, the debt crisis in America is just out of control. And I know we want to wait a few minutes for some folks to join, but I want to share some of the metrics that I've gathered from the New York Bank, Federal Reserve Bank, and then also just talk about how that debt kind of breaks down into mortgages, cars, student loans, credit cards. But today we're going to talk about that, but also show how to get out of it.
Yeah,
So we don't want to be
so
stuck there.
we're talking about interest rates that are super, super high right now, I think, especially the mortgage interest rates. We hear that, they're on the decline, which I hope they are. But I feel like that is really suffocating people once they get into these high interest mortgages, especially. And these car payments are unbelievable. I deal with people every day that their car payment is over $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
And that's just like, oh, but I do remember back in the day, I had one, everybody knows I had a really messed up first marriage. So this guy was a spender, and I remember our car payments back then were $790. And oh wow, talk about being absolutely broke and in the negative cash flow. That's where I lived. So I hope that what you're getting ready to show us is kind of going to show us just how bad it really is out there.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and share out a couple screenshots that I have of the debt crisis, and we can kind of walk through that.
Okay.
Do you see this okay on your screen? I'm going to go ahead
Yes.
and make it bigger so we can all see. But I like to look at just kind of the time and temperature of the debt crisis. And I've been watching this for years, and it's just interesting to see how it just continually keeps ticking up, ticking up, ticking up. And here we are from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, and it's showing that household debt hit 18.59 trillion in the third quarter of 25. And it's really crazy. I mean, just think about that number. It's monstrous. And and so I thought, well, the next question then is, well, where is that debt? Is that all in our mortgage? Is that in credit cards? And so I started breaking it down, and we see that 13 trillion's mortgage debt. We have 1.6 trillion of auto loans. And just like you said, Christy, a lot of folks are paying anywhere from 800 to $1,000 a month for their auto loans on a depreciating asset. Now, is there something better? I mean, we could always go back to, I had a beautiful car in college. Can you guess what it is? A 1972 Kingswood Estate station wagon.
Nice, nice. I thought
I'll
you were
tell you
going to
what.
say a pacer or something.
Well, and Pacers, Gremlins, but yeah, this
Yeah.
this station wagon was beautiful because I could throw my bike in the back, and I just figured if it ever broke down, I'd always have a way to
So
get.
you drove like the Brady Bunch
Yeah, I
station
did.
wagon?
Just me driving around this great big old boaty station wagon. Um,
Love it.
but so that could be an option too. But as we look at these numbers, we're talking 1.6 trillion in auto loans, 1.65 trillion in student loan, 1.23 trillion in credit card, and And I'm sure you see it just like I do, Christy, those credit card rates,
Yeah.
20, 25, 30%, and
Yes.
it's just nuts.
Yeah.
Absolutely nuts.
I think the most shocking thing about what you're showing here is that the student loan debt is right up with the auto loan debt. And
Mm,
we know that every family in America has to have at least one car, right? And
yeah.
so when you talk about, like we have three cars. And you're talking about people that have loans on those cars, that the student loan is coming up to what Americans have to have, which is a car just
Hmm.
to get around. But the student loan, that is, I had no idea. That's so sad. I mean, when I look at that, that's just super sad.
Yeah. Now, this next one, I think this is a really good discussion point where home equity line of credit is 422 billion. What if we saw that number go up where people were able to shift some of those higher interest into a home equity line of credit, use velocity banking, the strategies you teach every day? So
Yes,
I personally would like to see that number go up and these other numbers go down.
me too. Me
So,
too.
but anyway,
That
that
is
just
a
kind of
good
gives you
discussion.
what's that?
That is a good discussion.
Yeah, and so we look at the debt, and then this is the other thing that's a bit disturbing is, we've got this personal savings rate that we can kind of see over time. Now, over on the far left, that's June of 2015. Over on the far right is June of 2025. So we're currently underneath the 5% in terms of personal savings rates. And then we do see a really big spike around 2020. That's when we had COVID. Nobody had anywhere to go. Stimulus
Right.
checks were coming in. But when you look at the debt situation and how that continues to creep up and our savings continues to go down, it tells a story, and that story tells that we're in this triple threat where we have
Wow.
increasing debt, decreasing savings, and the place where people are storing their savings is in a really inefficient place because I was looking at
Yes.
the historical savings rates. 0.42% is what the banks are generously giving everybody, yet charging them 15, 20, 30% for the use of the money.
Right.
So,
Wow, that is scary right there
yeah.
because, back in the day, I didn't have 50 bucks, much less a savings of 1,000. And
Mhm.
I see that every day. People are still, they don't have anything available, uh, which leads to these high interest loans that they have because they have, an event happen and they have to have, $1,000 or
Mhm.
$10,000. And your only option when you're not prepared is to get the high interest loan because guess what? They'll approve those quickly, maybe a check in the mail. Christmas time. Let's just
Yeah.
talk about what we do during Christmas so that we can get the presents for the people we love. It's very stressful.
Yeah.
Very stressful.
So, I mean, what do we do about this? And this is what you teach every day. This is what we also partner with you in is coming up with strategies to get out of this debt and take control, flip the script, if you will, and
Hmm.
maybe even use some of the tools the bank offers us to get in a better position.
Right.
And so, your audience that follows you knows a lot about velocity banking and how to structure those tools to be able to get out of debt faster.
Hmm.
And one of the things we've realized is that when you start looking at debt pay down strategies, you look at velocity banking, you look at even infinite banking and how we can stitch all these together. There's a lot of numbers floating around. And, I've run my life in spreadsheets for so many years. And I realize there's people out there that aren't spreadsheet people. They're not the numbers people. So what we're talking about today is how can we take these strategies of velocity banking, of sequencing, whether it's snowball, avalanche, cash flow index, and infinite banking, and put people into a better position.
Yeah.
And really what we're talking about is getting your debt organized, paying it off quickly with velocity banking, and building wealth with a process we call infinite banking.
Mm-hmm.
We bring all those together. This is what we call the debt blaster trifecta because we're putting those three strategies in one package. Now, Christy, for your audience, you can share how folks can get to this, but there is a subscription model here. But even if you want to take just a quick look, you can log in or you can go to the site and there's some videos that talk about the introduction to what the vault does. There's a video that lays out more details on how this trifecta strategy works. And then without even having to sign up, you can go into this Debt Blaster demo and just play around with the data. So there's some sample debts in here, and then you can kind of play with a velocity banking profile. You can play with infinite banking policies that we've put together, and then go down and look at the different strategies. So you can kind of play around with this, and then if you want to see your own numbers, there's a subscription model where you can get in there and play with that.
Someone
And that's
has
what
a
I wanted.
question for you
Yeah.
on here. Can we get a way to add other collateralized loans to the vault? I want to add in when I borrow against BTC.
So they're asking if they can put other loans as far as debts in,
That's
in
what I'm
terms.
seeing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and we can jump into the vault. I've actually, I log in and I've got a profile here I can start to play with. But what the first step really is to add your debts. This is a profile I've got just for our discussion today. But if I want to add another debt, you can come in here and put your brother-in-law's debt in here or another bank loan and put
Your
in the
brother-in-law would
balances.
probably like for you to put his debt in your vault.
Yes. Yes. And when you talk about the brother-in-law loan, that brings up a good point because after we put his loan in here, we put his, name in there and we put the balance that we owe him and an interest rate and the payments. We can go ahead and save that and it adds it to our list. Now, one of the things that we're doing is we're getting our debts named and classified and organized in this first step. And then what the debt blaster will do is it will take all those debts and analyze them and determine what is the most efficient order of paying those off. Now, unfortunately, there are folks out there that let's say they have a personal credit card for $2,500. When they pay that card off, what do they do with the $75, Christy? Where does that money go?
Usually to something else. I
Hmm.
mean, I know that, like I said, if you had $50 available back in the day, you bought a couch that was $50 per month.
Yeah. So and one thing that's going on is people, oh, phew, I got that personal credit card out of my life for 2,500 bucks. Now I have $75. I can go spend that on other stuff.
Right.
That's what we call the no strategy strategy. And there's
Mm-hmm.
other things that happen in this no strategy strategy, which is refinancing, moving debts around. There are some things that can work there, but there's not really a strategy. And so what we say is take the $75 when that personal credit card is gone and add it to the business credit card and just keep stacking those and going in order to efficiently knock these out.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what it looks like. If we just scroll on down to the what we call the payoff strategy comparison table, if you don't have any structure, you don't have any plan at all, that $78,000 of debt is going to take 181 months to pay off. And the bank is going to get another $30,000 in just interest cost on top of that $78,000 of principal.
Can we just stop right there? If
Mhm.
I could bring the emotion that I feel when we're talking about interest, especially $30,000 in interest. We, as the American people, and I'm speaking for people like myself, that you have always made your payments because making your payments pays off your debt. If I could just shift that mindset and show people that just because you're making a payment does not mean you're paying off your debt. I mean, like, I think that is the biggest stronghold because I didn't understand that.
Mhm.
I thought, well, I'm making the payments. I'm paying off my house. I'm paying off my car. And then you'll have people that say, yeah, but it's just the way it's set up, you have to pay your payments. If I could just shift the mindset to say, how about we look at a strategy that we stop making payments and we start paying off our debt? That is what is going to reduce that 30,000 you're showing right there in interest. And that click doesn't happen a lot.
Right.
People
Right.
do not understand that you do not have to pay that 30,000. There is several ways around it, which is what VANNtastic does. The channel is just to offer the options. So I had to stop there a minute because that is a mindset that, oh, well, yeah, but that's just what it totals up to be after you've made 7 years of car payments. Yes, it is, but you do not have to play that way. We can play the game another way, which you're getting ready to show us. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I mean I'm glad you stopped to talk about that because there is a different way and $30,000 of interest on a $78,000 set of debts is a lot of money you're giving away.
Right.
And so what we do is kind of take a strategy or an approach where it's phase one, phase two, phase three. And Christy, you and I know we talk to folks that they're having a hard time, they don't have a lot of extra. So sometimes we can't get to that next level until they do an efficient order. And what we mean by that is most people are familiar with the snowball, which is you would organize your debts in the lowest balance to the highest balance, and then you would pay off the first debt and then stack that payment onto the next one and just keep rolling it.
Mm-hmm.
That alone takes discipline. It doesn't take extra money, it takes discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And just doing the snowball, you would pay those debts off in 81 months versus 181. You'd go from $30,000 of debt to $22,000 of, I'm sorry, of $30,000 of interest down to 22,000 of interest. So that one move is step one to build some efficiencies in your debts.
Let's talk about that for a second because
Okay.
I tried to follow that order of let's take our cash flow and pay off, the debt. I'm sorry, but one, when I was in the mess I was in, I didn't have $50 a month left over in cash flow. And I would promise you that every month, my kids, like I've given examples on the channel of the book fair that comes to the school, and the kids want, $5 or $10 to spend there.
Mhm.
Uh, I didn't have $5 or $10 to give them because that's what I'm saying with this extra $50 that you think you have left over in cash flow. It's going to go somewhere. And
Right.
we've got gurus out there telling us you take that $50 and you put it on that mortgage principal and we're going to pay off your house. Well, your house may have 100,000, two, three, $400,000 balance on it. Your $50 is not going to go far there.
Hey, you're
Uh,
spitting on a forest fire.
that's why this debt snowball is impossible in my world to do because I'm not taking my cash flow and throwing it into a loan that I have no access to and I can never touch again. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So that's why I always failed with the snowball method. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and so you'll see snowball, avalanche, cash flow index. Those are just ways how we kind of view that in the vault is it's just a way to organize the debt and then put a priority to which ones we go after first.
Mhm.
Now, you may have to operate in that mode for a while if you have nothing else, you don't have any lines of credit, you don't have any extra cash flow, but we need to get out of that point where you don't have cash flow. So this is where, it's kind of the step one efficiency building. But then, Christy, your audience is very familiar with velocity banking. And so
Right.
within the vault, what our folks can do is they can go ahead and put their velocity banking profile in, which really involves listing out your income sources. You might have W-2, you might have some 1099, whatever those income sources are, we want to identify those. And then we'll go through these different tabs of listing household expenses. We all have, different things, heating, water, whatever that's going to be. So we're going to go ahead and list those out. And we're going to list out our automobile expenses and on and on. And what we want to do on this last tab is list out our velocity banking tools. Now I've got four of them listed here. Some of the folks that you help, they have an all-in-one, right? They have a first lien
Yes.
HELOC, and that's a great tool. And can that be used for velocity banking? Absolutely. You may have some folks that have a personal line of credit with the bank. Can that be used for velocity banking? Absolutely. So these are just some of the different tools that you could use for velocity banking. And the concept as you teach it, we're running our income into those tools, right? So if we have an all-in-one, we're storing our income in that first lien HELOC, and we're paying our bills out of it on a monthly basis, and we're taking chunks of that and throwing it into our debts to create a more efficient debt pay down cycle, which is going to frankly be the fastest way we can do it. Anything you want to add to that?
Well, I am jumping up and down on the inside because I know you're going to show the velocity banking compared to what you just showed us. So
Mhm.
I'm on
Yeah.
pins and needles because I'm waiting to see how much faster it is.
Yeah, and here's what we're going to do is we're now back in the summary tab and we have our income expenses listed, what can be paid out of our velocity banking tool, which ones can't. But ultimately we're looking for what is that net cash flow that we're working with on a monthly basis. And then we're going to um, enable our velocity banking tool. So in this case, I'm going to use this line of credit from Wells Fargo where I have about $45,000 of available balance. Now, Christy, in one of the things that we've talked about in the past too is if you have a $50,000 line of credit, should you use it all? Should you use half of it? Should you do some formula based on income? And one of the things we built inside of the vault is this thing called an optimizer. And so it's looking at your debts, it's looking at your income, your expenses, it's doing a lot of really heavy math to try to figure out what's the optimal chunk size to reduce your interest cost in the velocity banking tool versus your debts.
Hmm.
And so although we have 45,000 available, the tool is saying use a chunk size of 26,856. Now, if you want to, you can say, well, I want to use a bigger chunk. But what you'll see down here is it's adding interest cost to our pay down.
Hmm.
So anyway, the,
Wow.
the, the tool is just kind of figuring out some of that math for you. But here's the fun part. We activate the velocity banking by clicking on this activate VB boost. And now when we go look at the comparison table,
Oh my gosh, people, are you seeing this? I'm sorry, I'm going to run around the room. I love velocity banking. I'm going to run around the room. Go ahead, Craig. I'm sorry.
all right, Christy, you take a couple laps. I'll explain to the audience what's going on here. So as we're looking at this, we're now using a tool that puts us in more control of our money, but look how fast the pay down goes, not 181 months, not 80 months, but now we're talking about 23 months to get all that debt out of our lives. So that is where we no longer make a payment to Visa, to American Express, to the auto loan. All of those things are gone. Now, what we've been doing is using a chunk out of our line of credit, replenishing it, using a chunk, replenishing it. So we have a little bit of time to replenish that chunk on the last chunk size we used. But I would say I would rather do this process and be done with all of my debts and have my velocity banking tool restored in 30 months versus 181 versus 80.
Guys, are you hearing that? Now, we're just in the velocity banking mode where he's at right now. And you're talking about going from over 10 years, 10 and a half years, 11 years, how many ever months that is there. You're talking about taking that down to a complete payoff in about 2.5 years. That's insane. And when I talk to you on this channel about velocity banking, I'm not playing with you. I'm not saying, oh, okay, yeah, if you do this, this isn't a scam. This isn't a sale. This is trying to get your life in order because you're all too hell with the way you're dealing with your finances right now. I was too. I am not mad at you. I am trying to help you see that there are options to stop the insanity of this paycheck to paycheck living. It's not going to be with the snowball method. It's not going to be with anything outside of learning how to use your income in a way that it serves you instead of the banks. And it's super, super easy. Do not let somebody tell you, oh, that's too much work. You have to do the lines of credit. You have to, transfer. Bull crap. The idea is that you are taking the money that you're killing yourself to make. Some of you guys are working 80 hours a week and you're not able to pay your bills. This is giving you options on what is out there. And when you see that the current, just making those payments like they tell us to do, I'm a good little girl. I'm over here making my payments. I'm on time. That's going to, reduce my debt. That's going to increase my credit score. Stop. Stop with that. 181 months. And let's say you do the snowball method or the debt avalanche. You're cutting 100 months off of that. Yay. Great. Great for you. I'm going for the maximum. That's where the velocity banking comes in because 181 months to 30 months, that's wow, that's something. Like I said, I want to run around the room because I am excited. I'm excited for myself because thank the good Lord he sent that to me over 15 years ago. I'm excited for you because I know some of you are struggling out there. We're talking about the inflation is crazy. These interest rates, these high mortgage and car payments, and the student loans, a whole nother subject. And you have a way to get in control. You have a way to be free again and to be excited about your income again. And that's what I want to see for you. I want you to get excited about your life again. We are here at Christmas. And if you guys have been doing velocity banking this year, then kudos to you because you're ready for Christmas. But if you're just now stepping into the channel and you're like, what is she talking about? Wait, I'm freaking broke. What is she? This is your answer. Oh my gosh. And I want you to get excited. I want you to. And what he's talking about today is the Debt Blaster that is now available for you to use to help you get your velocity banking strategy really, really optimized by using what Craig has created here. And Craig, you've done a wonderful job on this. I hear nothing but good stuff about this. And I'm going to stop talking so that you can take over. But I just want people to understand this is no scam. This is a life-changing financial strategy that's going to blow your mind when you see how fast it works. Okay, so go ahead.
Yeah, and Christy, I mean, your passion is real because there is a way to get people in a better position,
Yes,
and it's not a scam, it's math. I mean,
it's math.
it's math. And in the math of this situation, I know we're doing a sample here, but everyone's got a different situation, but $30,000 of interest versus 7,500. Which one do you
Okay,
want?
okay,
I mean,
I'm running.
yeah, $22,967 that your family's keeping that they didn't pay the Visas and Amex and all those other folks. Now, I can tell you this isn't a scam. I've been doing velocity banking myself for over 5 years with a first lien HELOC and paid my house off multiple times. It works.
It
It works, it
does.
works, it works. Now, here's the fun thing that we're going to go over next is we just showed you velocity banking. You probably about fell out of your chair. Like I'm seeing going from 181 months to 30. But let's just say that we shifted some of this $1,366 from one hand to the other hand. So we're just going to put it into a different place before we do more debt reduction. And so what I want to do is add something called life insurance because
Wow.
this is Christy, this is where we work together are, in this specially designed whole life policies where we can build uninterrupted compounding while we leverage the policy to pay down debt. So what if we took $500 of that cash flow and we just ran it through one of these specially designed whole life policies? Now, what that did to my cash flow is it brought it down to 866, but I'm going to go up to here and we're going to do this thing called the infinite banking concept process. And this is just another strategy that we can build on because there's nothing faster to pay off debts than velocity banking. It just hands down the fastest way to do it. What if we slowed it down just a few months, if we even slow it down at all, but we built some wealth as we were doing that process? That's what infinite banking brings to the picture.
Yeah.
So here's what we're doing. We're taking that $500 and we're putting it into a specially designed whole life policy every month, $500, $500. And then once a quarter, we're going to take a loan from that specially designed whole life policy and throw it at the debts. But what happens to our policy as we're leveraging that cash value? It continues to grow uninterrupted compounding interest. So imagine you put your money into a savings account, you're earning interest, you pull it out, you're no longer earning interest. What we're doing with these whole life policies is we're funding them and they continue to grow while we leverage them. So it's really a beautiful strategy. So now I'm going to activate the cash value boost because we're going to take that loan from our policy and throw that at the debts. So now we have more columns. We have the debt avalanche, we have the infinite banking, we have velocity banking. However, we have this column now called the debt blaster trifecta. So Christy, in the previous example, it took 30 months to get rid of all of our debt, right?
Right.
Well, we're getting rid of our debts in about 31 months. So remember how I said infinite banking is going to slow us down just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So we went from 30 months to 38 months in total debt reduction by using infinite banking and velocity banking and the sequencing.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the difference. Is it worth slowing it down a little bit to save or to have over $14,000 of cash built up in your whole life policy that you can use for future purchases, you can use for opportunity funds, you can use for emergency funds, and if you have a family, there's $128,000 of death benefit, God forbid something happens to you.
Yeah.
So really, and everyone's numbers are going to shift around a little bit. Sometimes when I run this for folks, I'll see that there's really not much impact to the pay down. Sometimes there's a few months, but it's all situational dependent. And that's why we have the software to kind of run the math and figure out, well, what does my situation look like? And so at the end of 38 months, think of this. Imagine if this was you. In 38 months, you have all of your debts gone, away, they're out of your life. You have $1,265 that you used to spend in debts now as free cash flow. And you have $14,000 sitting in this side account in this specially designed whole life policy that you can use again.
With the death benefit.
Hmm.
Now infinite banking is now my favorite thing, which I love velocity banking. I kind of mastered velocity banking. I'm not calling myself a guru or anything, but I'm saying that I've been doing it long enough that I'm super comfortable with using the bank and in these lines of credit. But infinite banking came to me the same time velocity banking did, but it was way over my head because it was like I was so broke that I didn't think I'd ever get out of debt, much less build wealth. Okay. Now where I'm at today, I have 6 infinite banking whole life policies because I see how it works. And that death benefit makes me feel very, very comfortable with now when I'm gone, and it's coming, it's a matter of time. But when I'm gone, my children, my husband, anybody else that I want in on those policies are taken care of. And all of that's off my mind now. So I don't have to worry about, well, what are they going to do when I'm gone? How are they going to, pay off the velocity line that I have running, whatever. The infinite banking has been as big a game changer as the velocity banking was. So, again, these are options, people. These are very, very excellent options for you to get everything in order so that you take all of this debt off your mind, the stress of the family's future, things like that. Another option here that I think is beautiful, and to think that you're doing debt elimination while you're building wealth, a savings, and taking care of, the future when you're gone. And still getting your debts paid off in 38 months compared to 181 months. That's insane. It seems unrealistic. So people are like, there's something they're trying to sell here. This is scammy. Something's wrong with this. It's just math, like you said. It's not magic, it's just math.
Yeah, and Christy, I'm glad you focused on the death benefit piece too, because when and there's a day we're all going
Yeah.
to meet that. We're going to meet our maker.
Yes.
And who oftentimes is part of that legacy plan that you don't want in that legacy plan? The
Yeah,
government.
the debt collectors.
Yeah, the debt collectors, the government. And
Yes.
so when we think about the infinite banking portion of what we're talking about is that death benefit goes to your family tax free.
Yes.
While you're alive, your policy is growing tax free. So there's a lot of tax advantages as well
Mm-hmm.
uh, to that story. But it's a big piece. The legacy is a big piece where we don't have to pass on debt to the next generation, but we're passing on
Right.
wealth to the next generation.
And if you teach your children how to do what we're talking about here, they can take that death benefit and be prepared to set up their own so that now they have access and can, take loans from themselves and completely bypass the crazy that's going on out here with, this interest. It's so exciting. I love it. I really do.
Yeah, so Christy, there's a couple more things I just want to touch on because there may be folks listening right now thinking, what? That's a lot of money moving around. What do I do? And we've got a couple different paths here where you've got this tabular view of everything in the purple is when you take loans from the policy. Everything in the blue is when you take a chunk out of your velocity banking. And it's just a prescription of, all right, in August, I started this in August, but I should start it probably in December. Um, this is the payment I make to my personal credit card and I pay it off. This is the amount I put towards my business credit card and I pay it off. And so it just tells you every month what do you put towards what debt. Now we're going to pay off the first several debts right away because we take that chunk out of our velocity banking tool and knock those debts out. Then we'll work on the car loan for several months. But it just shows you each month what to do. As long as you follow that plan, you're going to be out of debt in 31 months. Now, there's also, I'm going to go back to month one here. There's also a GPS where you can come down here and say, all right, what am I taking out of my velocity banking tool? 22,546. That's what I'm taking out of my Wells Fargo account, and then I'm going to throw it at my debts. And so this will just kind of tell you how much income is going into your velocity banking tool, what expenses are you paying out of that, and what are your total debt payments. And when you're done with a month, you click that off, you're done, you go to the next one. And it's just going to tell you month by month what to take. So you can run this in GPS mode, or you can kind of operate off of this table and just kind of check those out as you continue to go. So that's kind of
Wow.
the what do I do? How do I actually operate? How do I manage this? That's what you can do to stay on track.
Wow. So, when I first started VANNtastic, I would have people come up to me and they'd say, "Hey, do you have a velocity calculator or do you have a spreadsheet that shows us how to do this?" And the answer was no, because I didn't. And now, look what you've done. You've made it fantastic.
Yeah, because the easier we can make it for people to use these processes, the velocity banking and infinite banking, you're going to get out of debt and build wealth. So that's really what we spend our time every day focusing on and trying to help people with.
Awesome. Okay,
And
so you
Christy,
have a couple of questions over here if you want to answer.
yeah, and just
Uh,
one quick thing, and then let's go to the
okay.
questions because this is an important thing too, is
Okay.
and I just wonder what would be the value to your community if they could just call you up on a Saturday at three in the afternoon and ask you a question. Well,
Yeah.
you probably aren't available, but we've built in this thing called the Christie AI. We've taken your teachings and we put them into an AI bot. I mean, look at that mechanical Christie over here with
I
the robot
know.
arms. So the idea is here, you can ask Christy questions 24/7. You can ask her things like, what is the difference between a first lien and a second lien HELOC? You know, anything you want to ask, and it's going to give you an answer. And then also take you right into videos where she teaches more on that concept.
That is beautiful. She is beautiful. No, I
So,
think that that's very nice because people do need, questions answered. Like I had somebody ask me the other day, "What's a HELOC?"
mhm.
Just basic questions that you don't want to schedule a one-on-one coaching call for. And that's exactly what the Christie AI does, is it gives you the answers all the way up to everything from what I've seen that I've ever talked about on the channel, right?
Yeah, because it'll actually every time you put new content out there, it's indexing that and it's specific. We're not just going out there and looking for generic velocity banking discussions. We're looking for things that you teach specifically because you teach it in a certain way and that's what we want your audience to learn from. So
Well,
but
I
yeah,
think that is beautiful and great.
let's
Um,
jump into some questions and we can kind of run through that if that
okay.
works.
So, let's see here. Let me go back up. Um, Okay, so two variables to consider when paying off debt and savings, and those are discipline and life changes. Can the vault help with that?
Well, with discipline, I would say where it's going to help with that is we're going to give you a strategy and a plan, that GPS as well as that spreadsheet to follow. And then yes, life changes. People get bonuses. People have other emergencies come up. Say the credit card balance goes back up. What you might want to do then is just come into the strategy, edit that. Let's say this personal credit card just got another $500 put on it because a car maintenance issue came up. So you would come in and you just update the balance to say 2,600, update the debt, and then it's going to recalculate everything. So just like a GPS in our car, if we're driving along and all of a sudden turn left and like, ooh, I missed my turn,
Mhm.
we're going to recalculate and then just tell you what to do. So anytime we have changes to our balances, we also can accommodate changing interest rates if you have 0% cards and maybe an introductory rate that changes in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. That'll
Mhm.
keep track of all that for you. But the idea is the discipline is to follow the strategy. And then when changes occur, we're going to come in and update our balances, update our payments, and just recalculate.
Right. Okay, so is there any way to fix the interest on the vault? I have my mortgage in the vault and it's not accurately calculating my interest on the mortgage and not showing my interest savings accurately.
Yeah, and I don't know the details of what's going on there. So what I would suggest is if you have some question on is the number right or something doesn't make sense, there is a support link here, and we would encourage you to go enter, the subject, a description of what's going on, You can also email support@byobvault.com. But inside of the application, you can just open up a support ticket, give us a subject, and explain kind of what's going on, and we'll take a look at that.
Okay. So we've got somebody from Arizona says, I love this presentation. Thank you for watching. We have one that says, can we use a credit card with a large available credit for the velocity banking? My answer to that is yes. It depends on what kind of credit card you've got there. If you're using convenience checks or whatever, but what's your answer to that, Greg?
So I would go in and ask Christy AI because this one says, can I use multiple credit cards for Velocity Banking? And you do have some teachings on how to use a credit card for Velocity
Mm-hmm.
Banking. Yes, we can use credit cards for Velocity Banking. And what we would do in that situation is we would come into this Velocity Banking panel. We'd go over to our Velocity Banking tool and we would enter in, a credit card, for example, the name of it, the limit, how much credit do you have available on that interest rate. Now it's a little different than a HELOC because we won't necessarily be able to operate as a HELOC or, a bank account. So it's going to operate a little differently. And you probably want to, Christy, you can correct me if you see this differently, but I think what you want to do is organize all your debts that you want to deal with on that credit card. You
Mm-hmm.
might have
Right,
some other debts on another credit card. You want to manage that. But
right.
um, the way I look at it is it can be done with a credit card. It's just not the most efficient velocity banking tool, but it can be done.
So somebody's asking, can you do an IBC with a loan against Bitcoin?
Can you do so? I think what they're asking is, can you collateralize your policy and use Bitcoin?
Maybe.
Yeah. So the way I'd look at this right now is I've seen some information out there that insurance companies are kind of looking at Bitcoin and, it's something to be dealing with. But right now, we don't have ways to pay premiums with Bitcoin. And there's also no loan option as Bitcoin. Could that change in the future? Perhaps. The other thing that it's really situational, but you can take your policy and collateralize it with a bank and they'll give you a line of credit on that cash value. Now, is that a path maybe in the future where that's an easier way to get Bitcoin from a policy? Perhaps, but I'd say just stay tuned. I think that's going to be a reality as we go forward. I just don't know when
Mhm.
or how it's going to operate. But we get that question often. People want to manage the cash value. They want to manage their loans using Bitcoin, and so we understand that. I don't know when the insurance companies are going to be adopting that.
Okay. So I think this one is saying, what's the way to update variable interest rates and changes in income mid-plan? I mean, you're literally just going in and entering it as you need to month to month, right?
Yes, and I've got some folks they'll build a monthly plan, and essentially what I mean by building a monthly plan is I have a plan here right now, and I can save that, or I could save as plan month one, plan October, plan November, plan December, because some of the folks that I'm helping with this process, they do have variable income, and during say I'm a landscaper during the summer, I'm going to make a lot more money in invoicing. In the
Mm-hmm.
winter, it's like in Colorado right now, we're not getting any snow. We've had 7 inches of snow this winter season, and it's ridiculous. So if you're in landscaping and you want to plow snow, you're starving. It's just there's no work here right now for plowing. But as your income changes, you would just come in and update. Say you get bonuses or commissions, those types of things, you can come in and put it in here. Now, the other thing you can do inside of the plan is there's a couple extra pieces here where if you want to make a one-time extra payment, we're typically not doing that with Velocity Banking, but let's say you just want to throw, $200 more a month at your debts, you can kind of see what that does to the overall picture. Or if you came up with a lump sum and you want to just throw that in, say I have $10,000 lump sum, I can throw that at my debts and see what that does to the outcome.
Awesome.
So those are a couple things, but it does just require you going and updating. Now, as far as the variable on the debts, if it's wildly changing, I mean, you want to kind of put your interest rate here. But the other thing too is, as I mentioned before, if you have a 0% introductory, we want to make sure that you're getting that period of when it expires because all of the calculations will take that into consideration that, hey, if I've got this at 0% for the next 9 months, that's great. But what happens after that 9 months? It goes to 25%. I need to deal with that. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Okay, guys, that is your spreadsheet. If you are, if you're writing me, and I can't even imagine how many people have written me about, do you have a spreadsheet that will help me with my velocity banking strategy? The answer is yes, we do. And thanks to Craig Yenny, who has come on here today and told us about this, showed us how it works. It's just been a whole lot of information. And you know what? I get so excited when I see people getting excited about, something that's going to help them to accomplish their strategy. I worked with a guy last week and, we were going over the velocity banking strategy and I can't remember how it came up, but he mentioned a spreadsheet, and I said, "Yeah, we have the vault," and gave him the link. I said, "You can check that out, see if that's something that you feel like you'll use." And he did, and he was so excited. He said, "This is exactly what I've been needing." So maybe you're watching today, and you're one of those that's been looking for something that's going to help you to set up your velocity strategy, show you what it's going to look like, and give you a payoff date of approximately when you're going to be out of debt. And like Craig said, you're talking about being able to set up the infinite banking and adding just a few months, half a year, not much, to your strategy of debt elimination, but you're building wealth and you're providing the death benefit for your family. It doesn't get any better than this financially, at least the way I look at it. I'm just super excited about it, and I'm so excited to share with you. Craig, I am so excited that you came on today. I'll put my link, and my links are underneath the video and in the chat for the Debt Blaster. So you can review that. And then also for the Infinite Banking, through Chris Nuggles' team. That also is below the video in the description if you want to learn more about the infinite banking concept. So, have I forgotten anything, Craig? Because this was a lot of information to put out there today.
Is a bit of a fire hose, but yeah, I think if people have questions, we have resources they can reach out to you and to our team for infinite banking, and we'll help them out. And but no, I really appreciate you having me on and letting me share the strategy of what we do with the vault. And we're really thankful for your partnership, so we can get people out of debt, put them into a
Oh,
better place.
totally my pleasure. You all are just a blessing to work with. You're all, everybody I've met on the team. The heart that you have for the people, that is the drive. And I love that. Chris Noggle himself, he has such a heart to serve the people. And, when I see the things that you all have created, it just shows me that you just want to give people more tools that's really going to give them that complete peace about what's going on in their finances. And I appreciate you so much. I'm going to keep hanging around here with the crowd a minute and answer some of these other crazy first lien questions they've got up
Okay.
here. But thank you again so much. I look forward to seeing you again.
All right. Thank you, Christy. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. Bye bye.
Bye.
Okay, guys, let's talk about what the first lien question is here because it's a very good question. Um, so I've seen the streams with the first lien HELOC and the CMG folks on the all-in-one loan. Is there a difference between them? Is one company better to go with than the other? No, So when you see me talk about the first lien HELOC and then the CMG, which is Harrison George, you're talking about two great companies, very reputable. So I have no problem with either one of them. They're two different lenders, though. Why do I have those options? Well, there's a few things. One, CMG Harrison, he can work in the states that the first lien HELOC First Savings Bank cannot work with, meaning if you're in Texas, Alaska, Maryland, New York, and Hawaii, First Savings can't work with you because they're not set up to work in those states. CMG is set up to work in all 50 states from what I'm aware anyway. And Texas being my big state, where I have the most clients, you guys needed another option for a lender. That's where Harrison comes in with the CMG because they do work in Texas. So I hope that that clears that up. Uh, to my knowledge, they're both great. I haven't had any complaints back on either one of them. And I'm sure that their approval process is about the same. I know that CMG requires a 10% reserve, whereas the first lien HELOC for savings, they require a 5% reserve. So little differences like that, but nothing major that I've seen, especially as far as customer service. Okay, I hope that answers that. Good, good, good. Okay, so any other questions? We had the question up there about the Money Max. How is it different from the Vault that we just saw a presentation on? The Money Max is an automated guaranteed system. Okay, so it costs more than this Debt Blaster, which is a subscription. Okay. Money Max also has a subscription. So it just depends on what you're comfortable with. Do you want the guaranteed automated system that you do not have to have a line of credit to use? Or do you want the spreadsheet form that you do have to have a line of credit to use and is much cheaper? So it just depends on what you're feeling, If you want a Money Max overview of what that looks like, I'll put the link in the chat as well so that you can join us for a live webinar that we will have tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 7 p.m. Central. And I will tell you there's going to be giveaways tomorrow night. We're doing this for Christmas. Completely forgot about this till just now. We're going to be doing a giveaway, and I personally am going to give away up to $1,000 in cash. So if you have not been in the Money Max webinar before and you would like to join us, we're going to have the giveaway. And I believe I heard they're going to give away a free Money Max system. Now, that's almost a $5,000 giveaway because that's how much that system cost. So, if you want to look at debt elimination in a way that's automated, and uses your checking and savings instead of a line of credit. It doesn't matter if you have a low credit score. It doesn't matter if you have a high DTI. This could be your answer. So I'm about giving answers. The people that I work with, we're not in competition. This isn't about, oh, how can we make money? Or how can we make the most money? Or how can we get rid of that company over there and just have everything in VANNtastic? I don't care. I'm about getting you the answers that you're looking for with your finances, learning how to use your money. That's my whole goal here. So you are welcome to try anything that I talk about on this channel to see if it's going to be a good option for you, because you're the one that's going to have to use the strategy. You're the one that's going to find the financial peace, but you want to know what you're going to use to get there. Because if you are not going to use whichever strategy you pull out to use, then you're never going to find financial peace. And it's not hard. That's why I have offered so many options on this channel, is just so that you can, one, get informed and educated about what you're doing wrong with your money and why it's not working right now. But two, giving you options of tools that will help you get your finances organized and kind of GPS you through how to do the strategy. Okay, so you have no excuses. I'm not your mother, but you have no excuses on staying in the financial stress that you are. You can start just like I did, using the lines of credit to free up cash flow. You have Money Max that will do everything for you. You have the Debt Blaster, the Vault, Christy AI that will help you set up your spreadsheet to show you what that's going to look like, to compare. Is the snowball method for you? If it is, go do that. Okay? If velocity banking is your answer like it was for me, then go do that and pick a tool that's going to help you if you need something to bring you down to where you're grounded and it's telling you what to do. Okay? I didn't have those options back in the day. So that's new to me. But I have had a lot of people go through both of these avenues and they are getting help. They are getting the answers. They have their strategy set up and it is rolling. And they are super excited about life today, especially when it comes to their money, because they know what to do. Sometimes we need our hand held as we go through the process. There's nothing wrong with that. But the way you're sitting right now, maybe paycheck to paycheck, that's no fun. Been there, done that. I have suffered financially, and I don't want to do that anymore, and I don't want you to do that anymore. So, telling you guys, the answers are on VANNtastic. You have so many videos that can show you what to do with your money so that you can stop throwing away your money to interest like you are right now. Making the payments do not pay off your debt. Making the payments throws the interest in there and you're like, "Oh, I'll give you a little bit of money here, bank. You need some more money? Oh yeah, I'll pay. Yeah, in my house, you can have $50, but I'm going to give the bank more money because they're so good to me to let me have my mortgage." I mean, that's literally what we're saying when we are sitting in a monthly payment. And you know why you're doing it? Because you weren't educated to know that hey, wait, what? The monthly payment's not actually paying off my debt? I mean, my $500 that I'm paying towards my car, you mean all of that's not going to pay down my balance? No. And it took me a while to learn that. Maybe you're smarter than me. Maybe you had good parents that, taught you how to use your money. But I had no clue what was going on at the bank. I wanted to share with you what's going on at the bank, get you educated, and put you into an option, a tool that's going to help you do it to the best of your ability using your income. Okay? Let's see if we have anything else. How do I get a consult and a plan for me? I have links underneath the videos as well. It's actually at the very top of the description. It says book me for one-on-one coaching. Right there is where you would go schedule an appointment with me. What is the average cost difference between the Money Max and the Vault? Again, the Vault is a subscription. You can't buy into it for life, okay? That's a monthly subscription. And I think it's $16 a month. I'm not even sure what the Vault is. The Money Max is the guaranteed system that shows you in advance what your money is going to be looking like. So 6 months down the road, a year down the road, it can kind of show you, it's guaranteed. So it's going to show you based on what you're doing month to month right now. Are you going to be in trouble in 6 months? Or are you going to be free? Or are you going to be doing just fine? And it's just amazing. So the Money Max does have a buy-in. Again, you will need to come to the webinar tomorrow night if you are going to be interested in seeing what the Money Max looks like. I love them both. I have them both. It just depends on what you want to use, people. That's all it comes down to. I will put the Money Max link in here if you want to attend that webinar tomorrow night. It's free. You don't have to worry about any charges on that. If I can find it. Here we go. So you can register to attend here tomorrow night. Again, we are having that giveaway, and I am so excited. Sorry, I can't talk and do this at the same time. This is tomorrow night, Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time. Okay. All right. So that link is in the chat as well. It'll also be in the description below. So be sure to join us if you have never seen what the Money Max does. It's amazing. But the debt blaster he just showed, it's super amazing. I'm just thankful to God that we have options now, that we have things that, depending upon what, different strokes for different folks, right? So one may work for you that does not work for another. That's why I have them all, if the good Lord will keep things the way they are as far as the way we use lines of credit, I'll never be in debt again because I've got these tools that I can use that's going to tell me how to eliminate the interest, and I'm paying off what I actually wanted to buy, which was my house, which was my car, right? I'm not even going to student loans because, wow, that's just, what a ripoff. Wow. Okay. Let's see. How to handle when and how to treat the last payment of a debt. Example, original balance 2,200, worked with the VB strategy to pay down to 600, income is 850, expenses is 450. Is this paid off? Sure. Sure. So if you're paying your monthly expenses out of your line of credit, then your debt's gone, because we're going to be paying for our food, our gas, our subscriptions, car insurance, all of that, right? We're going to be paying for that anyway. So the idea is once you're back down to where you're paying 450 out of your income per month back into that line to cover your expenses, then you don't have any debt. You're just paying off your monthly expenses. I hope that makes sense. Hello, Ricardo. Hello, I am great. Are you guys ready for a big Christmas? Are you ready? Has VANNtastic got you ready to have a better Christmas than maybe you had last year or all of the previous years? If you're on and you want to answer that, I would love to hear what the difference is this Christmas compared to last Christmas, okay? Unable to get a line of credit, only using VB on my credit card debt at the moment to raise credit score. Awesome, awesome. 651 is pretty good. You're getting up there. I learned how to use my credit cards to pay my bills while paying the cards off with my income because of you. Yes, thank you, Mike. Now I'm using the same concept with a HELOC. Awesome. Thank you for your excellent God-given teachings. They are straight from the good Lord above. I want to just give him praise for that, because I don't know where I would be today if I hadn't started praying about my finances and watching him open those doors for me. So yes, I just thank the Lord. You know, if you're not spiritually based and you don't believe in that, then I'm sorry, but I do. I am a firm believer in Jesus Christ, and I am excited to share him with you because of the peace that he brings to my everyday life. And I want to praise him. So this is my channel. I can do that, I guess, right? Thank the Lord for what he has done in my life, learning how to use my money. And this is just a favor to give you guys a push up. We're not doing handouts here, we're doing hand up. And that is what you need to be a stronger, better person. So I want you all to have all of the knowledge that I do. The videos are absolutely free. You absolutely can do velocity banking by just watching the videos. But if you're wanting somebody to kind of hold your hand throughout the process, that's where the Money Max comes in. That's where the Debt Blaster comes in. Okay? So get excited. The other thing about the Money Max is that it doesn't need a line of credit. So if you can't get approved for a line of credit, then you can still get out of debt using the interest eliminator. This is the Money Max. It's the AI for your money, and it shows you everything to do. Okay. Let's see here. So you totally work for yourself and you're not an owner of these places you talk about. You're basically our personal instructor. Go IBC. Wait a minute. IB Cowgal. Well, how cool is that? Are you in Texas? Tell the truth. Tell the truth. I'm waiting. I do not own, no, I just work for myself right here in my little space. Just wanting to get the information out there because I feel like that the Lord blessed me with it and I want to bless you with it. Okay. I listen to you so much. My wife calls you my girlfriend. Well, all right, Mike. All right. Thank you for that. Glory to God in the highest, peace in the earth, goodwill to all. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so excited about Christmas just because of who he was that came to this earth to give us a chance to not only eternal life, but you're talking about favor from God, the creator of the universe, giving us favor that we do not deserve. Wow. It's just like me and my children. They have my favor. They probably could do a whole lot of things that I'm, going to be their support. I'm going to help pull them up out of a pit, right? Because why? Because they're mine. And to know that I have that favor from the creator of the universe, and you want me to not talk about that or not be excited about that? Well, hey, I'm running around the room on the inside because I know that I'm covered. Protected on all sides is what the word tells us. So I get excited about it. I want you to be excited. I love you, Christy VANN. Thank you so much. Latasham, I hope I said that right. I've learned so much and putting them in practice. God bless you. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you for that. I have no credit card debt, but only one installment personal loan. I have a excellent credit score. I have a mortgage. I want to pay off one installment loan. Well, all right. Get you a line of credit and get busy. Get busy. Oh my gosh, it's so easy. Arkansas. I knew you were close to Texas. I knew it because I could tell by the cow. The cow. We have cows here, but when you all say that cow gal thing, I know that you are like living on a huge ranch somewhere, and I can just see your horses and all of your longhorns. Sorry, I have a big visual. Yes, sorry. I love all of the information you're generously sharing. Your strategies are tools that are invaluable. I agree completely. so wild that these life lessons are not taught to us in high school before graduating. God bless you. Isn't that amazing? But doesn't that make so much sense as to why we're not aware? Yeah, because you were going to struggle with debt for the next probably 20 to 30 years. But now that you've learned a strategy, all of a sudden, wow, wait, I'm going to be free. Like that thing. Did anybody see the debt blaster? How it went from 181 months to 30 months? I'm sorry. That's insane to me. But that's why the debt blaster was created. When Chris and Uncle came to me and said, hey, we want to help you create a VANNtastic software, a VANNtastic spreadsheet that's going to help you help people, I was like, well, there's another favor from God, because I was wondering, I need to start setting this up. I was talking to people about, hey, we need to create some kind of spreadsheet for the people so that they can have their handheld as they go through the velocity strategy. And he literally said that to me out of the blue. Here it is, up and running, available for you to use. And the way it compares the methods, like I said, the snowball, the avalanche, the velocity banking, and to see that crazy difference that just using a strategy with your money is going to cut years and years, sometimes decades, off of this debt that you're drowning in. That's beautiful. I don't care who you are. That's good news. Do not forget, we are having the VANNtastic webinar, 3 days. That starts January the 8th. So January the 8th, 9th, and 10th, 2026. You're going to have all of my favorite speakers coming. We're going to be talking about velocity banking. We're going to be talking about infinite banking. My high performance coach is even going to be there, and I'm super excited about that. We're going to have the Money Max team there. Who else were you having? JJ the CPA, he's going to be there. The lenders are going to be there. All of this in a room where you're going to be able to ask questions. That's super exciting. That's super exciting. Okay, so I'm going to put that link in here as well for the 3-day that's coming up, because I forget to mention that. And I'm like, that is super important, because I always have people emailing me, when is your next event? So maybe I'll find it. Okay. So this is the 3-day, and I'm going to put it in the chat as well. You all are welcome. It is super cheap, but this is not going to be something that we're trying to make a bunch of money off of. This is for you all to get in $59. $59 for 3 days. And you're going to have access to these people to ask questions. That starts January the 8th, goes through the 10th, and it's going to be loaded with information. So please feel free to join that as well. Let's see. Thanks for all the encouragement, Christy. Merry Christmas, season 2. Oh, thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. That's a question for the Money Max team, Lori. 401k to get life insurance. Should I consider taking 10,000 out? I would do it if it were me, but I'm not an advisor. So you can go to the team and ask that question. I have that link in. Is it in the description? Let me see. Oh my goodness, I don't like these descriptions. This is not right. Let me see if Chris is in here, because you can go ask. Yes. So here is the Be Your Own Bank link. And yes, the infinite banking questions can be asked. through this link. You have to schedule an appointment. Oh my gosh, it's not letting me do that. I'm going to have to go get the other link. Oh my goodness, you're going to have to be patient with me. I have no idea how to use this stuff. Uh-oh, I'll bet that's getting ready to turn on. Excuse me. All right, I'll put the infinite banking link in here for anybody that wants to have a conversation with the team about that as well. Okay, all right. We are getting some questions answered here. Okay, so you have about everything we've talked about and links to get more answers to your question in the chat. Underneath the video, I'm going to make sure those are right underneath the video because for some reason it looks like they're cut off and I don't know why it's doing that. But we will update that. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Love learning more about velocity banking and the IBC banking. Words of wisdom from the Lord. Yes and amen. Yes and amen. Thank you and continue to share the good news and the goodness of the Lord Jesus Christ. Yes. Wow. Can't say enough about that. Does this work well for a $50,000 truck loan? We're talking about everything here, Mark. Oh my goodness, everything, every debt Velocity Banking can work with. You just have to set up the strategy that works for you. All right, guys, I'm going to jump off of here and let you guys have your day. You know what? I'm going to be traveling this week, but if I don't see you before Christmas and another live, I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas, which I plan to see you again because we have so much to talk about, so much excitement going on with everything. The giveaway, again, that's tonight. That will be through the Money Max webinar. I always do a Christmas giveaway through the Money Max. I'll be giving away up to $1,000 in different increments. So you guys could get you $200 for just showing up or something. We'll just see how we're going to break that down. Again, if you don't have the Money Max system, if you need to learn more about it, feel free to join us for that webinar tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central Time. It's pretty fun just because we have a good time with the team while we're there. So again, I'll put the links in here. The Debt Blaster, somebody's asking, how can I see it in action? You can go back and rewatch this live that I just did. It'll come back up as the live will be available. It probably is if you rewind or whatever y'all call it now. So feel free to watch that again and feel free to reach out through that link that is in the chat and I'll have it underneath the video when we finish up here, okay? Oh my gosh, do people really succeed with Chris and Ogle? Any success stories? I'm a success story. I absolutely love the infinite banking concept. I love Chris and Ogle's team. Yes, it's Tuesday night. I love his team because they are super excellent with what they do, how they handle you, and how they follow up. I love follow up. So they follow up, make sure you don't have any questions, see how you're going to use your new policy, all kinds of stuff. Okay. What should you do after using Velocity Banking and you finally get out of debt? Again, I do the infinite banking because I'm really building those policies. I have 6 of them. So you can do whatever you want with your money. There's all kinds of options out there. But it's super, super important to me that I have a guaranteed safe thingy, savings, whatever you want to call it, that I'm putting my money into because I don't want to play with money. And I'm not trying to build wealth so fast that I'm going to play with it. Okay. So the infinite banking concept has been a game changer for me. So that's what I use. Outside of that, you'll kind of have to go ask somebody else because I have no idea. I have no idea. I just don't play with money. I'm just thankful to God to be where I am today, with the debt load that I had back in the day. I don't want that back. Okay, so I don't play with money. I really, really, I'm vigilant with money because I don't want to be paying a bunch of interest out where I don't have to. Merry Christmas. Love and gratitude, sweetheart, from Catalina, Newfoundland. Wow. Thank you, Margaret. Thank you for watching. That's impressive. Thank you, guys. I'm just super excited to be bringing this information to you. So I want you all to get happy about your lives again. I want you to get happy about your money because I promise you, if you stay in a strategy, if you just get in one, the financial piece is overwhelming. Christmas not a problem anymore, and you're excited to go to work because now you know what you're working for. Okay. All right, guys, it has been my pleasure to join you here today. I pray the blessing of the Lord is all over every single one of you and that you are finding answers to your problems and you are breathing again. We need to breathe. Okay. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I will see you tomorrow.